Hello guys, today's topic is about whether you should feel bad about yourself for being lazy or for not working on your goals. This topic is a little bit tricky, especially when talking about it with you who somewhat a bit into self-development, because I am not talking about whether you should feel good or bad for failing. You all guys already know that. Like, it's in every book, it's in every, ask any self-development guy, they'll tell you that if you failed at something, as long as you've tried, as long as you've put in your best, you shouldn't feel bad. But that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because one could actually interpret this advice from them as you shouldn't feel bad if you failed at it, but tried, but you should feel bad if you haven't even tried. If a whole week has passed and you just hasn't worked on your goals at all. Or some evening you were planning to go out to do something or work on your project or whatever, and you just didn't do it. You just sat on the sofa. It seems to me like many people operate in this paradigm that that's a bad thing if you've done that. If you have been lazy, if you haven't been working on your goals, they should beat themselves up. They should think, damn, I'm so bad, I'm not even trying, I'm not what the hell am I doing, how am I ever gonna succeed in this? And in this video, I'm going to show you why this paradigm, you could do much better than that. It can get you to a certain level, but there is a much better option out there, and that is to, of course, love yourself unconditionally. But more about that in the video. And before we go on, I invite you to really think a little bit about this, because maybe now you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, that's not something I do. I already, I seem to love myself already and stuff like that. But this stuff can really be subtle. It doesn't have to be that if you have been lazy, that you're actively thinking these bad thoughts or, as picturing yourself as being this bad person. It can be just a subtle feeling that is pushed back so hard in your subconscious that you aren't even realizing it. And some clues to that can be is if you take a day off of all of your goals, or maybe a day off your important goals, how does it really feel? Are you really able to completely relax and completely let go of all of your thoughts about work, thoughts of your goals? Or are you still there, relaxing, but still actually thinking about how you should be still working on your job, or how maybe you're there still relaxing? I don't know. Maybe you even in some place like this that really invites you to stop thinking about external stuff and just maybe go more into your soul or your internal world of your feelings and goals and what you really want in life. Or are you sitting there and are you thinking about the job, or how are you going to be more effective when you're coming back to work? Because if you have those thoughts, it means that you really can't switch off. And many times, I'm not saying always, but many times, these thoughts are actually fueled by you a little bit hating yourself for missing out. And speaking of missing out, this is also another very good clue to that you might be doing this. If you constantly or even sometimes have this feeling that you can't shake off, that you are missing out, and especially if you work on your stuff, if you work on it, but you work on it from a paradigm that you're constantly feeling, oh, if I don't work on this, I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna miss this opportunity. If that is constantly in your mind, it doesn't have to be there. And that's not the enlightened way to be, so to speak. There are very few usages for negative motivation, for beating yourself up over something. I mean, why do we even have it? Biologically, why is it in our bodies, But it's there for emergencies. It's there for if you see a fucking bear run out of the woods, or if you have been really working on some project for years, and then suddenly before you launch it, you realize, shit, there's this extra thing that's still gonna take me 1 week to do, but if I don't do it, really, this whole project is gonna fail. If you at that point cannot really master to do it with love, that would be an opportunity to use negative motivation in sort of like organic way. But the problem is that people use it for everything. They use it to guide all of their lives. They use it to as some kind of like, this is how I know what to do in life. And they feel like that every day of their lives. And that's not how it's supposed to be used. And I also realized that for really for most people, maybe for some of you as well, you know, to bash on yourself when you're lazy or not to bash on yourself when you're lazy, it's not really like a switch or like a choice that you can just like switch right now. And that's okay, like we all understand that. The similar changes to this they're like pretty deep and they don't happen like in one day. And when you just suddenly come to someone and just tell them, you know, stop bashing yourself, it's not just going to happen like that, and that's okay. Still, this video is very important because if you don't think, if you don't even realize that this is something that you could do, you won't even look for these keys. You won't even look to make the change. So to do that, you really have to really like maybe listen to the video, but most of all, really realize yourself that this is how you want your life to be. It's still something that you need to decide for yourself. If you want to live like that, or if you want to live in fear. Okay. So how can we really change our paradigm? How can we change our thinking in this? I think one very key aspect in this is just realizing that whatever you're doing, like if you're building a business or if you're trying to like build a very good relationship, really whatever, you're not doing that to get the practical like results of it. You're not building a business to get money. You're not trying to get some kind of relationships to like be seen with a specific person. Instead, you're doing it because you think it will make you feel a certain way. You might be chasing practical things, but in reality, really, you're just doing it because you think it will make you, let's say, happy. There are different words. Some people don't like the word happy, like whether you like the word enlightenment or bliss or something else. It's a certain state of our psyche that we are looking for. In some cases, it can be helped by getting practical results. But practical results themselves, like they're not gonna be, you know, people used to say like, imagine yourself now just like sitting on on this rock right here and like watching over the ocean, right? Just like imagine your feeling and just imagine like thinking about your life, about yourself. If you would just have gotten all your results, like all your money, all the people that you want to meet, I don't know, like the cars, the houses, the whatever things that you like think that you want. Imagine you sitting there at the same time with all those things. Sure, you will have them around you, but it'll still be you. You'll still feel like, unless you change the things inside, you'll still sit there and you'll still feel just the same. It's very key understanding. And just to be careful here, I'm not saying that the cars and, you know, money and bitches, that it's something that doesn't matter or that you should go out in the wild and like give all your money to like whatever homeless people. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that what the core of what you're chasing is a specific feeling of happiness. Coming into the next realization of the feeling of happiness is that true happiness, you can't really have it tomorrow. You can't have it in 2 years. You can't have it when you're like 70. Sometimes people say, "Oh, like I'm doing this because I'm thinking about myself at my deathbed. What will I think about my life?" It can be a good thing to think about, but just realize that you can't really chase happiness to have it when you're like 90 years old and you're dying. It doesn't work like that. If you have spent all those 90 years like bashing on yourself and feeling shitty, that's not happiness. The happiness is something that you only have right now. Happiness cannot be like 50 years in the future. But even today, if you look at the happiness that you have today, if it's like work in shitty conditions for 10 hours and feel happy for 10 minutes at the end of the day because you have been a good little worker and you have worked on your goals, that's not really happiness either. If it's true happiness, like I'm not saying all people have it. I'm not saying like every person who talks about it have it. But I'm saying that's what it is. If that's what you're going to work for, you have to realize that that's what it is. It's a feeling that you have all the time. maybe not like at the same level, but it's not only the peaks that matter. It's the continuous level that you should increase. If your continuous level is the same, but then you get like these peaks, it's not really happiness. Like it's something else. Let's not kid ourselves. And one of like ways to realizing this is just really thinking about like what you want. Really going inside and like asking yourself like, what is it that I want? I mean, if you work on your goals right now in a way that you bash on yourself for like 8 hours and then you feel like super good for 10 minutes, is that the life that you want? Is that something that you aspire to? Because you see, if that's your process, it will not matter how much you will achieve. Because if that's how you are going about getting your goals, after 10 years, when you have achieved a lot of stuff, when you have gotten all the money and all the shit, that will still be your process. In 10 years, you will work on harder problems, you will get like more money for like the time, but that will still be your process. So like, do you want that to be your process? That's the really, ask yourself that. I mean, for me, I know it's not. That's why I'm doing this video. But it has to come from inside of you if you want to change this part of your life. Like, you can think of the movie Limitless, you know? When the guy got his pill that supposedly made him like superhuman, that gave him everything he wants, like, you know, he got the like the social skills, the business skills, the motivation skills. When he got all that, his lifestyle on the pill, like, was it him sitting there and like bashing on himself and like, I should work on my goals because otherwise like I'm a shitty person. When he took the time off, you know, there was like some scenes when he was just going out and like having fun. Was he having fun and at the same time bashing on him not being like effective? No, he was in a happy state all the time. Of course, in the movie, he also got motivated to do his things. And this is something we want to work on as well. Being happy about your life, about yourself, and being motivated to work, to do something, to go out and experience new things. They might be similar, but they're not the same. They are two different feelings. And you can absolutely have one without the other without the one. You can have neither. You can have like both of them together, but they're not the same. So if you bash on yourself for not doing something, you are killing the happiness. You're not doing that much to the motivation. It might go up, like, it might spike up a little bit because you're now like in so much pain that you have to do something. But by this actual thought that, oh, I suck because I've been lazy, it doesn't create motivation. So just realizing that they are different things, and you work on them using different tools. And I know that some of you usually say that, or like think of that from themselves, that, oh, you talk about being happy, but doing goals makes me happy. Working on my business, that makes me happy. That's when I feel happy. It's true, it does. But if that is your case, if you're bashing yourself, like if you are doing what we're talking about and you're doing in this video, you're happy because that's when you allow yourself to be happy. And that's because you have learned to like stop your happiness when you're lazy. Happiness is something that exists kind of like inside you. It's like this feeling that you have that you can go around with, like whatever you're doing. But you have decided to like turn it off when you're lazy because you think that it's a good way to motivate yourself. And I'm going to show why it's not a perfect way. You know the feeling that you get if you're like one of those people? You know the feeling that you get when you're doing your goals, or like especially like after you have done some goal, or like you have worked on some goal? You know, like the bright, the happy feeling, like where you have the energy in your body, you have like you want to do stuff, you're like you just feel amazing. You feel like life has like colors, it has feelings. You feel like you know what you want. You're in the right place. You feel like you are like the driving force in your life. That's how a human is supposed to feel all the time, whether he's working on his goals or not. What you're doing there is that you're shutting it off because you think that without it, you won't work on it. So yes, if you say that you become happy by working on your goals, it's true. But what is even more true is that you make yourself unhappy when you don't do that. It came from you trying to motivate yourself by using fear, by using negative motivation, by using bashing on yourself and hating yourself. It's it's negative motivation as opposed to positive motivation, which is built on really building up your goal perception of ideal life for you and operating from that. It's not a true motivation, the negative motivation. It's a motivation based on ego. It's not based on whether you have your goal life or not. It's based on you having an image of yourself, which is either like good or bad. Like you have an image of yourself, an ego image that says that when I'm working on my goals, or like when I'm not lazy, or when I do this, I'm a very good person. I'm a cool person. And when I don't do that, I'm a bad person, and I should stop doing that. Thing is, it's not. It's a very low level of motivation. And what I mean by that is that having true motivation, which is based on finding the source of your own energy, like drawing the state from within, drawing the state of motivation from within, really feeling for your goals, really creating your own motivation for what you want, it's actually a skill. It's not something that you automatically have in your life. It's something that takes practice. It's something that takes actual work to develop. But what people usually do is that they don't want to do work. They want easy solutions. They want quick solutions to complex problems. And negative motivation based on ego is one of them. That's your attempt to not learn the true core motivation. If you want to achieve big goals, complicated goals, if you want to achieve true happiness, like deep happiness, that's not the way to do it. And really, if you have to resort to that, that's even a sign to you that if there is a goal in which you have to constantly resort to negative motivation, that means that you haven't built the skill for real motivation. That means that you don't really feel like you want this. It doesn't mean that it's the wrong thing. It just means that you haven't built up the feeling of wanting this, which is a skill in itself. Because if you have that, you don't have to resort to negative motivation. Then you just do it. So you can use it as a sign that there's still some motivation that needs to be built. Because sometimes many people say, at least I'm taking action, right? Yeah, sure, maybe I use like negative motivation, but at least I'm taking action. Like it might be true to a certain extent, but really think about what kind of action you're taking. The action that you take on negative motivation will never be as good as the action you take from the true core motivation, if you have built that. Because like imagine two people that are going out and doing the same thing, like they're working on some big goal that takes a lot of time, like a lot of hours. And like first of them, he's going there, he's doing his goals, he's putting in his time, but every action of his is connected in his mind to the image of his goal, to the feeling of his goal, to actual understanding of what he wants, of how it connects to him, of who he is in this life. And what happens then is that each action he takes, his brain works 100%. It understands that every action he takes is connected to him. That's something that he wants. It starts to see small patterns in his results. It starts to learn 10 times faster. It starts to recognize like small mistakes that he does, and it almost starts to fix them for him, almost automatically. And then if we have the other guy who goes out the same amount of hours, but he does it to satisfy some image in his head. Or he does it to like satisfy an image of him that other people have. The thing is that your subconscious always knows why you're doing things. And if you are doing action to satisfy an ego image, your brain will not work as good. If you suffer from this, like, have you ever seen like other people who seem to go out, like do the same thing or like take the same steps and having like 10 times more results than you? How does that happen? You know? And it's because they have true core motivation. Yeah, sure, you take action, or like in this regard, like you do take action, but I'm talking about making your actions actually effective. I'm talking connecting your actions to you, as opposed to doing actions not to feel bad about yourself. And really, also this thing about your subconscious mind is pretty key to understand as well. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It's not even lazy. Like, your subconscious mind is like the world's best like computer, but it's just that it does what you tell it to do. And if you tell it to, we're going to take these actions in order to satisfy some ego image, in order to look effective even to ourselves, what it's going to do is that it's going to do the bare minimum, because it knows that what's the fucking point of putting in the real effort when taking these actions, because tomorrow you're going to feel just as bad. Like, if it's an ego image, it has to be like constantly kept like fresh. So what it does is that it takes you to the situations, it takes the actions, but it doesn't take actions to make results. It takes actions to look as you are taking action, to look as if you are effective, as if you are a good little boy and working on your goals. Whereas if you really do tell your subconscious, this is what we want, this is our path, like this is where we're fucking going, and it's the most right thing in the fucking world, and it's gonna be so fucking exciting, then it says, okay, I get that. Find the best way to that. This is what we're building here. Okay? Much more effective than just like bashing on yourself and not understanding what you're doing. Because if you're using this motivation, this negative motivation, it means that you are preventing yourself from learning the good motivation. Remember how I said that having the proper deep motivation, it's a skill. It's something that you like need to work on. If you go around life and you think that you already have motivation, that you know how to motivate yourself, by feeling shitty if you don't do the stuff that looks good, you won't even think to look for other ways. And I mean, even knowing where to look, it still takes time and work to do it. So imagine how hard it is if you think that it's not even needed. This is one of the key things why I think that negative motivation, even if it sometimes decreases your acute output of actions in the moment, like this specific day, it just gives you so much more results in the future, like maybe even tomorrow, like next week, distant future, that I think it's really critical to work on. Because, yeah, you can give up a small result today, but you will gain your life path. You will gain your, you will gain so much of deep, real things that it's not even, you can't even compare it. Another thing that actually often happens with a negative motivation as well is that you get these swingbacks. When you force yourself to do something using negative motivation, using bashing on yourself, you might do that in the moment, but what happens at the same time, you are depleting your energy. Because instead of doing it and really enjoying it, you are creating this like whirlpool of negative energy in your body and in your like mind and in your thoughts and in everything. So yeah, you might be still doing your action because you have reserves of energy. Because like I said, this is meant for emergencies. This is meant for like bears running out of woods. But if you do that enough time, the reserves will deplete. Like your body and your whole being will just tell you, dude, like that's too, like what the fuck are we doing? We're not even enjoying this. I mean, think about it. When you have used negative motivation, just like find an example like from anything in your life. Hasn't it very often happened that you have been working super hard that day, but then like at the end of the day, you just like thought, wait, what the fuck? I'm not enjoying anything. I gotta go and like eat a big pizza, or like I gotta go and like drink, or like I gotta now I gotta go to like vacation, take like 2 days vacation, or like I gotta I really have to like enjoy life. The thing is that when you have the deep motivation, you are working on your things and you are enjoying life at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive. They are actually supposed to go together. But when you use negative motivation, you are removing enjoying. And if you do that long enough time, you get these like swingbacks. Really, in the most critical cases, you know, people even like get things like heart attacks, other health problems, because they have just bashed themselves to fucking death. It's not a joke. That's how they do it. It's like, imagine if you have been a child who has been brought up by like very restrictive parents that haven't let them do anything, that have tried to like mold this child into, you know, a productive human or whatever by like restricting him in everything. What is he gonna do the first time that he gets the freedom? He's gonna go get like some tattoo, or he's gonna go to like India and like to find himself, or some other like stupid crazy shit. And that's only because we do actually have to enjoy life as well. Like, that's something that we want. If we're not doing that, our body kind of like starts to reject it, or like our whole being starts to reject it. So it's something that you need. So that's when these like swingbacks can occur. If you use that the negative motivation too much. And also really realizing that it's not really logical for yourself to bash on yourself even if you have been lazy. Like, being lazy or like not doing something as effectively as you could, it doesn't just happen by itself. It means that you are lacking some core skill, or maybe you have like a couple of fears that are stopping you. Maybe there's something you need to like work on within yourself, you know, to be more motivated. It's something that you need to build. So if you have spent that time relaxing and not doing anything, it's not like you have been sabotaging yourself, really. It's more that you haven't been able to feel motivated. And that's a skill. That means that you are lacking in that skill. It's not like you are bad, like, you know, trying to like fuck it up for yourself. It's that you have been missing some pieces in the puzzle of life, you know? That doesn't even help you, like, in order to change your psychology to what you want it to be. The first step, the step that you need to take is you need to get on the same page with what it actually is, like with what is there right now, like what is the current state of affairs. So having like as correct perception of what is actually happening in your psyche is critical. And if you're saying, I am lazy, I am bad, that's not a correct perception of it. And it will not help you to get to the places you want to go. Because you need to know where you are. And where you are is that perhaps you have a fear. Perhaps you need to find out more about even your own motivation. Like, what motivates you? What do you really want? Perhaps you need to find out about like your triggers, like what made you lazy. If there's like a specific thing, you need to find out what that is. The information that you give to yourself that, oh, I am bad, I'm lazy, it doesn't help you do that. Okay, I realize that now you're maybe asking like, okay, I'm probably ready to buy into like this idea that positive motivation is the way to go and that negative motivation really creates more problems, but like, what do we do, right? Like how do we change it? Because like we said, it doesn't change in like one day. But like really understanding how this works is because sometimes like people miss this. They like, it's very good that they want like specific actions, like, okay, what to do, but realizing how this works and becoming conscious of it within you is a huge step towards it. So like, think about what we said in this video. Think about how it applies to your life. When do you do this? You know, what are the thoughts associated with it? What are feelings associated with it? And really explore it in your life. If you don't do that, none of the actions will help you. Because you will be again doing them like for the wrong reasons. Becoming conscious of it is the very much needed first step towards this. Now, having said that, there are of course many more like practical, like specific things that you can do, which I will try to shed more light on them on my channel. Be sure to subscribe, be updated on those videos when they come out, and I hope you become happy and won't have to bash on yourself as much. And I'll see you next time.